Yep, let me go ahead and let's see, double click that. Do you see it?
Yes.
All right. All right, Dave, thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. I did watch the video, so I'm going to be clear and concise and pretty short here. I'll leave a lot of time. So for dialogue, which obviously is the most important part. It's moving through here oddly. What's going on? So a couple things. Just quick introduction. Just talk a little bit about my overall objective. And 1 second. It's on what's going on here?
Is it on an automatic feed or?
Yeah, it must be on something. How about this? Give me 1 second. We're just going to do that. Is that all right? Is that still able to see that, folks?
Yeah,
right.
I can see it. It's
all right. So high level, just quick introduction. Who am I? Talk a little bit about my objective when it comes to VentureX, the offering, and the vision, and then open it up to the Q&A. So who am I? So I grew up in a military family, moved around my entire life, at least every other year. Sometimes we were at a place a little more than 2 years, which was a real long stay for us. Lived all over the U.S. We lived in New Zealand as a young boy. I went to high school in Australia. So I have a bit of a nomad in me, which will come to play here in a little bit as we continue through this. I did what people did in my family. I enlisted in the Marine Corps, spent 4 years in the Marine Corps. I wouldn't change that for a second. Got out of the Marine Corps and encountered this very strange planet, the civilian world. I didn't quite understand it. So took kind of a pseudo step into it and became a police officer just outside of Philadelphia, in the western suburbs of Philly. I was a police officer for about 4 years. That was a phenomenal experience, as noble a profession as you could find on this planet. And it was very difficult. I can't, now this is way back in the early 90s, so I can't even fathom what that's like nowadays. Decided I wanted to change my career, and I went back to school. I did the night schools. I did all that kind of crazy stuff. I ended up getting my MBA, and I ended up at a company called Deloitte. I'm sure some of you are familiar with Deloitte, very large global business consulting firm. Tremendous company. I learned an enormous amount there. Absolute was drinking from the fire hose, and that's what I was looking for. Encounter, one of our clients was Pharmacia, the other was Pfizer. Pfizer acquired Pharmacia. I was offered an opportunity to go work at Pfizer. I spent about 14 years at Pfizer. I made that decision primarily because while at Deloitte at that time, we had 100% travel. I was leaving home Sunday evening or early Monday morning. I wasn't coming home till very late Friday, sometimes even into Saturday morning. I decided that was a little bit rough on the family. So ended up going to Pfizer, had a wonderful run at Pfizer for I'd say about 7 of those years. I was very, very fortunate to have the opportunity to lead global HR operations at Pfizer. We had a very large team across the globe, which meant an enormous amount of travel. I was back at it. I was Monday through Friday. I was on the road. I was in a plane or a train or at least an automobile. And during that time, Deloitte's headquartered in New York, so is Pfizer. I was spending so much time in New York. I ended up getting an apartment in New York. Then along came this headhunter to talk to me about this funny little company called WeWork. I won't get into that too much. Have a look at it. Hulu. There's a documentary, and there's a few more coming out, and there's a lot of information about WeWork, but we could talk about that at another time. I was fascinated. The amount of funding that was behind this company, the growth plans were extraordinary. When I started at WeWork, so I led HR at WeWork. When I started at WeWork, we had 850 employees. When I left after a little over 3 years, we had 16,000 employees. Arguably the fastest growing physical startup in history. Physical meaning it wasn't just tech or, but there was actually, I guess you could debate that maybe with the railroads. But anyway, spent that time at WeWork. Main piece I want to show there, and why I inject my family there, we have lived in the Lehigh Valley for 20 years. I had never worked in the Lehigh Valley. I never even worked in PA once I started at Deloitte, and that really is a major factor that led me to start um, focusing on a co-working network in the Lehigh Valley. So I decided to make another career change after a little over 3 years at WeWork, and literally not being home for 1 week in the course of an entire year. What I mean is 5 consecutive days, to include vacations. I decided this was too much of a price to pay. Um, I made a significant career shift, came home, and I had two criteria. I wanted my own business, and I was done traveling, absolutely done. I was going to be home every day, and I was going to have dinner with my family like a person. So that was it. I took 3 months and really kind of blue sky. What did I want to do? And I had a long list. I called it down. And it was right in front of me. Of course, there was the work that WeWork that led into this quite a bit. But I realized there was a number of things changing. The biggest one was the commute and the impact that the commute had on my life. And I did the research. I looked around. I was getting on the 5 a.m. buses at one point in time, and realized that I was not alone. In doing the research and thinking about the Lehigh Valley, one of the things I came across, it's a University of Michigan study. I think it was in 2018. It was the top 10 cities with the most arduous commutes. That was length, it was number of people, it was cost, or whatever it might be. New York City was number 1. Philadelphia was number 4. And obviously, as we all know, we are pinned right between the two. So I have to think a very large volume of those people are coming from here. So it really got my wheels turning on, as I was thinking about what to do. I also, in my time at Pfizer and WeWork, had the opportunity to see a lot of data and research and understand it. And with the role as being an HR executive in a very old, established, methodical company, and also a very rapid growth startup company, I realized there were some trends that were just wildly consistent. The first being knowledge-based workers were growing faster than any other group in the country, and are far and away the largest group of workers in the U.S. and growing at a rapid rate. And just the dynamic of work had changed immensely. And there was a number of major things. A huge one being, the rise of virtual workers and contingent workforce in those companies. We reduce the number of employees. You've got consultants, you've got contractors, you've got whatever it might be, and you're dispersing your workforce tremendously. Different countries, different time zones, these type of things. The rapid advancement of technology is an obvious one, but I would also say consumerism of employment. Employees demanding flexibility. It's no longer the company says this is what you need to do and you better do it. The employees have a say. The focus on work-life balance, strategic importance, operational agility, flexibility, those type of things. Whether you're one of the largest pharmaceutical company in the world or a rapidly growing startup, agility, flexibility, risk mitigation. There is no company that doesn't need or want these things. And the offering that we have here offers these things to a company regardless of size. I would also say the intense focus on how you attract and retain talented people. It's call it a buyer's market, call it a seller's market, whatever it might be. But there's pay, there's benefits, there's those type of things. But there's a lot of other things that people are looking for that draw them into a career. And working in a beautiful space that has beautiful amenities and is close to home. This is very, very valuable to a lot of people. So next, so the offering really made me realize this is what I wanted to do. So and it really offer an all-inclusive network of world-class office space, amenity services, meticulously designed for wellness, productivity, and growth. Now that's a mouthful, but it's pretty straightforward. The idea was bring the finest of Fifth Avenue here home. And when I say Fifth Avenue, example, WeWork is the largest office space has the most office space in New York than any other company. And that's the same. They have the same in London. They have the same in, I think it's Sao Paulo, and a few other cities in the U.S. now. The way that we are working here is in these metropolitan cities has already come and it's already taken over and it's working. So the offering, flexibility, no long-term leases. Of course, if somebody wants to come in for 2 years, they're welcome to come in for 2 years. But part of what we're selling here is that flexibility, exceptional locations, picking the right places for people to work, premium design, the architecture, the furniture, the plantscape, the flow of the place, enterprise technology. We have Service Electric in here, RCN. We have a company called Ascensus in here. There are very few companies that couldn't come into this space and leverage our technology, that would have to do something outside of what we already have. 24/7 access, secure admin services, conference rooms, you see it all there. Truly all inclusive. You pay one membership fee a month and it's all yours. One thing that I don't have down here is community, and it's massive. It is massive. And I will give you an example. We have several businesses in here, and let me be very frank, I'm at 30% occupancy, right? So I'm not bursting at the seams at this point in time. There is that thing, that whole global pandemic thing that we've got off to the side here that I haven't mentioned, but I'm sure we'll get back to that when we get to questions. We're at 30%, we're growing steadily. We have a number of businesses in here that are already doing work with one another. We have 5 solo entrepreneurs that have walked in the door, become members here. And of those 5, in the last 5 months, they now employ 26 people. Now, is that because of VentureX? Is that because of this location? Not entirely, but all 5 of those will say that that has been a factor. That has been a factor. That is one of my proudest things I can say in our short tenure of existence. 2 of those folks were actually laid off due to COVID from their employers, pursued their passion, I'll say. And like I say, collectively, they employ 26 people right now. Just unbelievable, unbelievable. Also is the event space. We talked earlier, so we've had a number of events here just in the last month and a half, which have been great. Obviously, the Friends of Pete event just the other day, many of you were there, and it's wonderful, and we're looking forward to having many, many more. So the vision overall really is not just an office space, but it's the office space, the amenities and services. It's a network. I want to be able to get to a point where we can say, if you live in the Lehigh Valley, you're no more than 15 minutes away from truly world-class office network. And I lean into that network, the word network, because by having an office in any one of these spaces, you've got full access to the amenities, the conference rooms, the phone booths, the cafes, gourmet coffee, tea, beer, wine, fruit water, event space, whatever it might be across this entire space. You can have a team meeting in Easton in the morning. You can meet a client for lunch, or whatever it might be, a sales pitch in the afternoon in Bethlehem, and then you can working closer to home in the space in Allentown when you really got to get something done. It's all yours. So what we're seeing here is this is some snapshots of what we've got going on right now. So obviously we have one location right now. East and Allentown are well underway. In both those cases, the buildings are being built. But by the end of next year, we will have 3 locations across the Lehigh Valley, and hopefully at that time we're thinking about where should 4 and 5 go. That makes the most sense for our community. So a couple of folks pictures there. We're in the Gateway building. Here you see you kind of see the layout. You see the pictures, and that is it. I think I did that right on my timing. So.
Okay. If anybody has any questions, you can put them in the chat. Raise your hand. I can't see everybody on my screen. If you stop sharing, we'll be able to see more. I also put a link in the chat of Terry's website, and you can see more. I couldn't tell what was coming up, but I know that his website knows a lot of what they have. So I think I have one. Okay. Girish asks, the business is modeled after WeWork. However, WeWork has rapid growth and high valuation only to come down again, losing 3.2 billion last year. What lessons can you share with us as you move ahead with your future plans?
Yeah, sure. I know the WeWork story, to be frank, as well as anybody knows it. I was in those rooms. It's a very different animal, and the rationale behind that is WeWork's focus was purely on growth. It was funded by venture capital to the tunes of billions of dollars. The objective was to saturate the planet. To be honest, it was really focused on those large global metropolitan cities and get as much space as possible. It was a grow and build and they will come. Reality was is they were coming. Those locations were getting filled, but by growing at that speed, there was more money. There were more places under construction being built, all the design work that was taking place than actually were generating revenue. So they were living off the venture capital money that was coming in. The venture capital money got turned off almost without warning. And at that point in time, the company was so far over its skis, right, with the investment of big long-term leases. When I say leases, I'm talking 50 years. The Brooklyn Navy Yard for a 100-year lease. I mean, these are massive, massive things. So I'm a very different animal. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm not even a rounding error when it comes to capital compared to WeWork. So I don't have the money to get in that kind of trouble. That's my reality. I can only build and grow as much as I can pay for. So it's apples to kumquats. It just is. Where there is similarity is about flexibility of space and accessibility to amenities and services. Another difference with WeWork would be location. So WeWork focuses on big, large global cities, right? New York, London, Sao Paulo, Shanghai. You can go on and on. My focus is clearly not there. I focus on where people are. And I will introduce the COVID thing at this point in time, although there's clearly not an upside to a global pandemic. In this business, I was bullish on this business before COVID. I'm even more bullish now. However, it's going to take time. There's no doubt it's going to take time, but nobody is interested in a long commute. Nobody. It's at the point now where it's not just employees didn't like the commute, but now the businesses don't want people making those big commutes. So the opportunity to provide this type of service is where people live, and this is where we live here in the Lehigh Valley.
Okay. The next question is from Samantha, and it's interesting since you have a lot of expertise at your facility. I've met some of the folks, but in addition to that long list of things that you listed as to what you get being a member, are you available to give advice to new entrepreneurs considering your vast human resource experience? And what services do you offer to your membership along those lines? My assumption is Samantha is asking about like what strategic services other than the free coffee, the conference rooms, the phone booths, the meeting spaces.
Yeah. So yes, am I available? Absolutely. I have great conversations with our members all the time, every day, on different variety of different topics. I do have a lot of years in the HR space. I can certainly be helpful in that space. And of course, I'm available. It's not necessarily a formal service, or offering anything like that. Other things that we offer, when I say all inclusive, I really mean it. It's unlimited printing. It's the unlimited printing. It's the technology. It's the Wi-Fi. Like I said, we were professionally staffed from 9 to 6 every single day. We can help, I'll say, almost concierge meetings with our different conference rooms, the event space, those type of things. We also are working on a couple of agreements with organizations to provide discounted rates to our members. Examples with for payroll, for benefits. We are trying to work on some business legal services. That's not done yet. That's a lot more complicated than I had expected. So we're really trying to flesh out the member benefits area. And so more work to be done there. My objective when it comes to that benefits is really that it would benefit someone to become a member here and not actually work from here, because they would have access to discounted rates, things like that. Now, of course, I like people walking in the door. I very much want that. But if we can get to the point where that membership is worth that based on services on a more virtual basis, then we've definitely done the right thing by the people that will walk in the door.
Okay. Chris asked a question, and kind of goes along the lines of what's your story, but wants to hear about the value proposition, some success stories of people. You already kind of touched on this, but success stories of people that have come in, other than the fact it was 5 entrepreneurs and now there's 26 folks in those organizations. Can you talk a little bit about the value proposition and some short stories about what's occurred with people that have been members with you?
Sure. A couple others. So there's those ones that I had mentioned earlier, and I'd add to that. We have 2 companies in particular that are not even based in PA. We're looking for a footprint in PA, particularly Lehigh Valley, and we're able to just turnkey move in. So one company is from Louisville, Kentucky. We're expanding in a couple different areas. They chose this area to focus their business on, and they have 4 employees here at this point in time, and it was just turnkey. So there's a benefit not only there for them to be able to just drop a stake and be up and running literally overnight, but it's a benefit to Lehigh Valley, right? So we've got those folks coming in from another state looking to expand their business. We have the same from a business that came in from Chicago. It's a sales business, and I'm trying to think specifically what this business does. Walmart and Sam's Club, and I think there's a few others. That you often see these tables outside, and there's folks that they're focusing on the your telephone services or your energy bills and all these type of things. So that's a company that hires those folks, trains those folks, and has that up and running. That comes out of Chicago. We are now their southeastern PA. I forget what they call the region. It's kind of a New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia region. Their headquarters. And so that's another benefit there. Let me think. What else? OM Digital. So Olympus Corporation, we're all very familiar with, actually spun off a fragment of their organization. The name of that company is OM Digital Solutions. OM Digital Solutions, with that divestiture from Olympus. Yeah, and I'm familiar with the acquisition and divestiture space. There's certain lines you can cross and there's certain lines you cannot cross. One of them is you actually have to physically separate these organizations. So they needed a new HQ quite quickly. So they have 3 offices here that they were able to turnkey quite quickly, and they're here. They actually signed up for 18 months. So that's a nice one. One other I would say is an organization that engages a number of interns. So they have a 2-person office space. They engage several interns. We were able to get them, they have plenty of access to space, whatever it might be, to have their interns come in and out. They do 1-2 days a week. They're kind of off on their times, and that's not a space issue at all. They're able to manage that here, no problem.
Okay, I know this is on your website, but can you touch on it? Question is there a membership option to pay as you need the service, like a one-time meeting option? And
Sure.
I have actually attended a meeting there that somebody rented the conference room, rental of conference rooms and space for space for a small company. So if you could just touch on that, and obviously people can refer to the website as well.
Yeah. So yeah, certainly anyone go to the website, or you give us, give us a call. You can do it directly through the website, or give us a call. You can get the access to the event space, to the conference rooms, to a private office, or just the open common area, whether by the hour, by the day. You can do that. Now, those rates as a non-member are higher than the member rates. I very much want to make sure our conference rooms and spaces are available first and foremost for our members. That's another thing. As a member, you get conference room time. It's not unlimited. Depending on your membership, you get X number of hours. We just want to make sure nobody blocks the conference room and sits there for 3 weeks. We have some folks here today that have our largest conference room. They were here all day yesterday. They're here all day today. From what is it? Sam Adams, the Sam Adams Brewery. Unfortunately, I had Sam Adams in the fridge when they went to get their milk for their coffee, so that was quite a good thing. So yes, you can a la carte the space, no doubt about it. I did lean a little bit more to make sure that it's available to members, but yes, you can certainly there's a la carte option here. If I can go back real quick, I want to go back into the question about WeWork. There's another thing I think is important to call out here, and I'm a bit caught in this one, and this was a huge lesson from WeWork. Part of this business model is accepting the risk of occupancy. Now, I'm saying that on this as we're kind of winding through, hopefully the near end of the COVID. I mean that risk hit me square in the face. So this has been real difficult. And that risk comes from traditional leasing, right? So I'm going to take this space, I'm going to build it out, I'm going to offer this, and every single month I'm going to give you X amount of dollars, right? So like anything, there's going to be some break even there. If you're below it, you're paying out of pocket. If you're above it, you're making money. So that's a real. If there's a weak point to this model, that is it, period. So a big shift now is WeWork, Industrious, Notel, IWG, which owns Regus. These are the largest players that are in this space. I've heard from very senior leadership from 2 of those organizations that said they will never sign another traditional lease. They'll never do it. What they're doing now is profit sharing agreements with landlords. So in essence, they say, we're going to take the space, we're going to make it flexible. It's going to be good for you. If you were looking for $20 a square feet, we're actually going to give you $24 a square feet. And on top of that, we're going to give you a percentage of the upside. The trade-off is if they're below occupancy, they don't have to pay that rent. You see what I'm saying? So it's sharing that risk and sharing that reward with landlords. So that's been a big shift, and that's something that I'm talking to potential landlords about as well. Yes.
Okay. The next question is about, now that we're meeting and gathering again in person after the pandemic, what are you finding is your current biggest challenge?
Right now, it's still getting decision makers in the door. What I find is when we get folks in here and they see the space, it's clockwork. It's wow. This is amazing. This is wonderful. So it's getting in the door. The second one, which isn't too much of an issue, is making sure that people fully understand the offering. Right. So the first step is, and I think this comes from more people thinking more of a traditional officing mindset. If I show someone an office space, so example, I'm sitting in a space right now, it's a 6-person office space. Someone will say, well, how much a square foot, or whatever it might be. And I give them a figure for this space, and they say, well, I pay half that for twice as much space somewhere else. What I would say is that's one line item of many. What this also includes is, again, everything from multiple conference rooms to event space, to stocked cafe, to reception and admin staff, to mail package handling, to to all your tech costs. You'll never see a utility bill. You know, I can go on and on and on and on. Not to mention that you're going to be rubbing elbows and having conversations with a social media marketing company or a PR and communications firm, or a, you know, all these companies that are, they're right here in the mix with you. So I think number one, it's just getting folks in the door. Number two, it's making sure people fully comprehend and understand the model, and how they are saving. And what I've run into right now is number three, and I think this is a time-based one, is what I did not expect. I clearly didn't plan on COVID, as nobody did. On top of that, knowing what we learned through that, what I also didn't plan on is that traditional landlords were going to give space away. I've had 4 different, I'll say mid to larger size companies that were looking at multiple offices that were coming off leases that their landlords countered them in 2 cases with an entire year free, and in 1 case was 6 months. And now that's if they signed up for, you know, multiple years. It is tough to beat free. So that is something I didn't factor in.
Okay, this kind of plays into that last question about challenges, but Samantha asked, how do companies, individuals find you? Do you market outside of the Lehigh Valley to attract companies or individuals to come to you?
Not much outside the Lehigh Valley. No, and I recognize that I give that Kentucky example and the Illinois example, right? How they found, but it was really from local searches. So we're real heavy on social media. Obviously, I put a lot of money into Google. I put a lot of money into Facebook. We have a phenomenal marketing firm that we work with. It's called Zeptepi Creative. If you see us out on Instagram and all that kind of good stuff, they do wonderful videos and vignettes and these type of things. We also do that for our members. Just quick side note: if you have a look out there, you'll see some great videos and member spotlights. That's at no cost to them. That's part of the deal as well. The marketing support. We're going to start focusing more on events, obviously, as that has opened up. I've got a full page ad, coming back to our marketing, got a full page ad that goes out weekly to 2 different county bar associations. We are on, I forget how many billboards across the Lehigh Valley. We have had a number of articles that we've gotten out there in publications. We're in Fig magazine. I'm sure I'm forgetting some things. What I would tell you, I'm overdoing it on marketing. It doesn't necessarily feel like that, but I'm throwing a lot at the wall. But I'm open to more ideas if folks have them. Yes. I haven't gone with TV or radio yet. That is a conversation I have ongoing. So TBD on that. Another one's a company called CoStar and LoopNet. So these are companies that focus on commercial real estate. So put a lot of money into CoStar and LoopNet. This is for folks that are looking for office space, obviously. I'd be a smaller player in there and a bit of an anomaly there. But that's been working out pretty well for us, for me as well. Other one is just LinkedIn. I stay pretty active on LinkedIn. Reaching out to folks, touching base, following up with people, just kind of putting information out there. It's a little tricky. It's not really in my DNA to do that, because so that's been an area that I've really had to get more out of my comfort zone.
Okay. Speaking of marketing ideas and suggestions, Rita, typically, if you've attended 1 Million Cups, is always coming up with some great ideas. Do you have weekly social hours specifically to bring people together to network or brainstorm, coffee hour or happy hour or lunch meet? Not the food, the lunch meet. Those might be some suggestions, right? Maybe they're in the works for you.
Yeah. So we have been doing some of these. So we don't have anything that is That's not true. We have a standing. So every Tuesday we have a gentleman named Zeke Zelker comes in here and he provides lunches for members. We've had the wine and paint. We've had a number of things. They were, I'll say, abridged versions due to COVID. They were very focused on existing members. We've had a number of representatives from different banks and lending firms, and different folks that have come in and offered support, counsel to our members, but we haven't really opened that up to be more of a draw. And the focus is more about a value add offering to existing members. We had a law firm come in and speak about small business needs, those type of things. But again, that was due to COVID. We weren't looking to open the doors and pull everybody in. The world is shifting now, so we're going to get much more focused on more open events. We jump into the First Friday event in Bethlehem every time, with the exception of one that's about to come up. That's no issue there at all. But so we do the First Friday event. We've had some bands in here, so we're open to it. There's yes.
Okay, I'm going to go to a comment at the bottom, and Paul, I'm going to come back to yours because that's typically the last question we ask before we get into announcements. Do you do anything on LinkedIn? Gary Shaw had asked a question. You could promote the companies using the facility and do some self-promotion. Have you used LinkedIn at all?
I have, but not as well as I need to. And there's some reasons for that, but so yes, and there's more work to be done there. I mentioned the companies at Tepe Creative earlier. We actually have a session. It's not next week, it's the following week. We've got a full day session where we're going to talk. We've got a lot of great content. How can we now repurpose things and get a real push on LinkedIn?
Okay. Chris Briggs, he appreciated your answer, but his intention was for you to reflect or illustrate upon the ways that I, your customer, can know the value you bring me. So I'm going to open it up to Chris. You can drill down to make sure you get an answer.
Just quickly, I just left the comment in the text there. So, I'll talk to you about it in person, Terry. And
Sure.
Mostly I'm thinking about, I just want to, where's that purchasing decision in my mind? What do I want to, where do I get a relationship to this place or you or this value? What is it that I'm going to need to get myself forward? And this investment in myself comes through Venture X is the spot I want to make that purchasing decision there. And what I was thinking is some of your clients might be able to tell a story about why Venture X works for them. That would be convincing to me. And mostly it's just a general comment about stories and about relationships and about knowing when I want to make a purchasing decision. And so I want to hear the value emotionally to me about why I gotta be there. I'm going to have connections with other people. It's local to where I am. I also got to be over in Easton later in the day. So it really works for me in some way. So I want to have some relationship ideas around knowing. That's all.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Okay.
And then thanks, Chris, for elaborating. And obviously, Terry, if you didn't hear, you're going to get a copy of the video as well as the chat. So it's very important that if you haven't already done so, put your contact information, particularly if you have something to add, like Tyrone, who said that there's a First Friday event across the street at Banana Factory. So you may want to coordinate with other people in the area. That's very close to you. The only danger is crossing the street, but
yeah, Tyrone, not sure if he's on, but we obviously he's on. Yeah, we spoke about it during the Friends of Pete event. I am very much looking forward to getting over there.
Right on. Thanks.
Okay, we're coming up on where we cut off close to 10 minutes before, and the question that Paul posed, and he should become a facilitator, because this is the question that we ask at the end of each session with the 25 plus folks on the call. And it's what's the one thing we can do to help you going forward? So what do you need from us, in other words?
Yeah, it's such a good question, and it's always so hard to answer. I guess my basic thought is clearly everyone on this call is a collaborative, collegial bend. You know what I mean? As you're speaking to your contacts and your clients and whatever it might be, if you feel that there's something that would benefit greatly from being a member here, or maybe just utilizing the space for an event or offsite, whatever it might be, please do keep us in mind. You can just venturex.com, you can't miss, or you've got my number, I just put it there. That is my cell phone. I will pick it up 24/7, any day of the week, night, morning, it does not matter. So I would just say, share the word if you think there's someone who could benefit from the space.
And I can confirm that Terry answers his phone, because I called him to about the presentation. So I'll give you the first opportunity, Terry. If you have any open events or any kind of advertisements where people could attend VentureX, do you have anything coming up that people could attend?
Yeah, we have an event that's coming up any Tuesday. You can come in, and we have lunch from Zeke Craft available. It's phenomenal. Open up. We're starting to get folks coming down from St. Luke's who come down and grab their lunches on Tuesday, and it's just kind of an open. It's an open session, primarily for members, but we do open that up for others. We have someone from Harvest Financial that's coming out next Wednesday. That's at what is that at? That's at 3:00 next Wednesday. Harvest Financial is a firm that has done some really great things in supporting me and my efforts, and I know they're going to be able to benefit some of our members, but that's going to be open as well. What else? I think that's it for now.
Well, Terry, if you're welcome to come back every week from 9 to 10, and then the extra from 10 to 10:30, we do networking. So if you ever want to either have us announce anything on your behalf, or you want to attend the meetings, probably after 6 months, we'll be in touch with you again to do an update. Is there any other announcements? Rita, this is your cue. Do you have an announcement?
Actually, I've been doing coffee talks virtually since the pandemic began, but my coffee talk started in 2005, and I'm thinking about going back in person. Who here feels comfortable doing in-person events at this point? Yeah, I think I'm switching back to in-person. And Terry, I think a great idea would be for one of your Tuesday lunches to specifically announce in this group or at the Friends of Pete group that, this is a Tuesday where it's open for you guys to come in and meet some of your people using your space. And I would I'll put it on my calendar. I'll get there, and, it would be great to just brainstorm with everybody. I don't want to be dropping in any Tuesday, but if there's a specific Tuesday that you'd like to designate as a 1 million cups gathering at lunchtime, we should do that, because we all want to help you and help each other.
I appreciate it. That's a great idea. Thank you.
And Rita, I think you were on the call when, and if we had late arrivals, starting on the 21st, we're going to have hybrid. We're going to meet at Northampton Community College, 114 off the main meeting room where we used to meet, and also make it hybrid. And that the presenter that particular day is the Youth Entrepreneurial Camp. I don't know if that's the official name, but they're going to do a presentation on their their ideas. And I think we may have 2 or 3 presenters, young folks. And so all this knowledge that's on the screen right now would be helpful to them. Is there any other announcements? Jeff?
Yeah, Dave. Valley Networking, we're going to have an event coming up on Thursday, July 22nd at it's a new place called the Sherman Street Beer Company. It's at 1825 East Tremont Street in Allentown. That'll be 4:30 to 8:30.
Okay. Yeah. Please remind us again, we will not be meeting next week. We will meet on the 14th, continue to be virtual, and then the 21st we'll be back in person. So Dave, if I know you reminded us or told us about it last week, so it's good to have constant reminders. And Jeff, did you have an announcement? Unmute first.
Before I give my announcement, Terry, great presentation today. I'll do my best to market you with my contacts, keep you in mind for people that need space. I was there a year and a half ago, maybe, to meet you, and appreciate all the resources that you offer to Lehigh Valley. For those of you that are interested in professional development, leadership development for yourself, or networking, or learning more about all the different resources in the Lehigh Valley, Northampton Community College is in the process of recruiting for our upcoming Leadership Lehigh Valley class beginning in September. It'll be on site, give you an opportunity to learn more about what's going on in the Lehigh Valley, meet different people, and give you an opportunity to network and develop your leadership skills. For those of you that are interested in it, please contact me. My contact information is in the chat. And I'll do my best to get more information out to you all in the coming weeks. Thanks for the opportunity for the announcement. Appreciate it, Dave.
Okay. Any other announcements? Matt Henderson.
Thanks, Dave. As most of you know, my second career is as a roadie in Resting Punk Face. And I think Chris mentioned it early in the call, but July 15th, Resting Punk Face will be performing. It'll be Punks at Twilight at Joe's Tavern from 6 to 8. And I hope you all can come out and enjoy a night out to blow a little steam.
And Matt and his wife did a presentation probably a couple months ago. So if you go onto our website, you can probably pull that up and get an idea of what you'd be in for. It's always great to network. So
that's my third career. That's the Punk and Preppy show. We live stream once a month that show. So certainly feel free to check into that as well.
Any other announcements? I'll kind of make an announcement and introduce Jeff. When I attended, Jeff French, when I attended Friends of Pete last week, he had a setup down there. So if anybody's interested in workspace, Jeff probably could give you some insight. Jeff, any?
Thanks, Dave.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to present the systems, and or if you have time to stop in at Venture X, and if you're coming in on a Tuesday for lunch or whatnot, would be more than happy to show you the systems that I have in place there. And just another question for Girish. I understand that room 114 is going to become online for our in-person presentations, but knowing that this will be a virtual hybrid presentation, I would be interested in working with that system. I understand there's some external cameras. Maybe we can go in there and tinker and do some practice calls to see how we can maximize that system for folks that are attending remotely.
It's a good thought. I think we mentioned or we discussed earlier at our organizing committee meeting this morning at 8 that we want to do a trial run or try to do some see how it works type of thing with the next two Wednesdays. And yeah, I'm sure Christine Wagner or Roger can set you up with the IT folks over there to see how
Okay.
we can optimize the presentation and the discussions.
Yeah, whatever usernames, passwords, whether it uses a dedicated PC or it needs something external, just to practice and see how we can make that work the best for everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, as Girish mentioned, Christine is definitely a point of contact. Raj couldn't attend today, but obviously it has to go through him. Julia can help facilitate that. So I would touch base with them. As I said, our meeting on the 14th is going to be virtual. We have had people attend from 114, but not officially. Like there was another entrepreneurial camp there, and some people attended. I think the tables were set up in a U at the time. So obviously, since you have a presence down there too, you can get some things coordinated. Any other last announcements? Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in again. It's been over a month since I talked about my book, Successory Imagine, that came out in April. But this profiles 28 local Lehigh Valley business owners, including